All right, well, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all the previous guests on these completely outrageous type of podcasts, the Sunday Night News and Nonsense Report, the Sinner Report. I jokingly refer to it. News and Nonsense, total joy doing. Could not be possible without my co-host Spatry from Spatry's Cup of Linux. All of the other guests who have come on the show, really too numerous to mention. If I start mentioning people, inevitably I may miss one person, and if I miss one person, that is one person way too many, in my opinion. So thank you, all of you, to all the previous guests. Complete joy doing these, as I said. We will continue to do these as long as Mother Nature allows us to do these type of podcasts. Thank you so much, and we will catch all of you sometime in the future. Now, enjoy the podcast.
We are coming at you large. We're coming at you live. The Linux Distro Community presents the best of news and nonsense with Total OS Today and Spatry. Today's guests include Marcus Baird, Matthew Moore, PDQ, Quids Up, and of course, Total OS Today and yours truly, Mr. Spatry. How you doing today, Total OS Today?
News and Nonsense, sponsored by Spatry's Cup of Jello. Hey, Spatry, what are you doing that Jello thing?
Well, they say that quitting smoking is like nailing Jello to a tree, and I still have to get that demonstration up, you know.
Okay, fine, we'll wait. We're all in suspense here in this room, but fine, be that way. I'm doing fine, Spat. How are you?
I'm hanging in there like a loose tooth. You know, we want to recap some of the best things that we've done in the news and nonsense. Before we do that, I got some news I'd like to share with the community, and it appears that Mark Shuttleworth marks Bug One, and Bug One is Microsoft has majority share. He's marked this as fixed. And this just came out, hot off the OMG Ubuntu website. The bug opened back in 2004, a month before the first release of Ubuntu was made, concerned Microsoft's dominant market position. The desired fix for the bug was listed as the majority of PCs for sale should include only free software. Well, has that happened? Well, sort of. Just not in the way most of us would have guessed. As many of you know, Android is now getting 1.5 million activations per day, and of course that is a free and open source operating system. Also, Chromebooks it has been making sales, as well as another open source Linux-based OS will be hitting the market. We have Firefox OS, and Intel Samsung is coming out with the Tizen that we have discussed previously. So, yeah, we're starting to see some open source change, some open source choices hitting the market. But has this really happened? I don't know yet.
Well, I will be updating my Sprint phone here in August to the Galaxy phone. I don't know if it's going to be the Galaxy 3 or 4, probably the 4 if I can get a good deal. I love my Android phone, and let me just say that Ubuntu 12.04 and Android for the win.
Woohoo! All right. Now, Matthew's got an article for us.
Yeah, it seems that the upcoming GNOME 3.10 desktop is going to be bringing some new features. One of the most touted feature is the GNOME Music Suite, which is going to be integrated into the desktop. They're calling it one of the geekiest orgs alive. Been blogging about the process of the GNOME Music for the last several months. And with this music app, you can now browse your albums, artists, and songs. No playlist yet, but all of this will be integrated directly into the desktop, and I personally think it's nice to see that the GNOME team is actually adding features for a change instead of removing them.
Yeah, now something else of interest, because I had a chance to read that article, is that I use Totem as my main video player. I don't really care that much for VLC, because I've got all the plugins and everything. And they're going to give this a facelift, so it would be really nice to see them, do something nice with the control panel, because, the controls do look kind of big, but the thing is, when you're playing it in full screen, the controls look all right. So I can't wait to see that.
You don't care about VLC? That's blasphemy. Get off my show. Who's next?
Can I just say that I thought Quid's Up review of Mint 15 was really interesting. Carry on, Quids.
Oh yes, my review of Mint 15, where I think I once again become the enemy of the Mint community. I did have a substantial amount of issues with the Cinnamon release. I do blame part of it on the Ubuntu kernel. It is, I don't know if it's all AMD users or perhaps my system, but it turns my hex-core PC into an old i486 CPU, I believe. Maybe something even lower than that, I don't know. But yeah, it was very slow, very unreliable. But I believed I've started looking at it the wrong way. I've been looking at it as in terms of a new users distro, and I think it's no longer the case of that. I think it's for people who've been using Linux some time, and that's why I've changed my mind now on which distro I would recommend for new users.
Well,
You call it as you see it, so please don't stop doing that.
Just saying
Absolutely.
that, Katie has a very different view at Mint. I thought that was quite funny. Two completely different perspectives on one distro.
Well, my experiences have pretty much been similar, and I also blame a lot of those issues on the Ubuntu kernel. I've also made the argument that I think the Mint team and their developers are skilled enough and the platform is mature enough now that they might want to think about branching away from Ubuntu at this point and become more independent.
Yeah, they could have a release on Debian, couldn't they?
Yeah,
Like
I think if they did that, it would actually help Mint quite a bit.
Well, here's some news that QuidSup will definitely enjoy. For those of you people who went out there and purchased the Microsoft Surface Pro tablet, well, guess what? There is now a tutorial out there that will teach you how to install Ubuntu on that thing. Because apparently this tablet, you are able to shut off Secure Boot, therefore allowing you to install Ubuntu on this device. And it stands to reason that if they can get Ubuntu installed on the Surface tablet, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if people figure out a way to install their favorite Linux distro on that. How do you see that, Quids?
Oh yeah, that's pretty good news there. Well, at least with the Surface, there might be a bit more of a selection of software available. And was it the Pro or the Lite? I forget which one, but you couldn't have Outlook in one of them, could you?
It was the RT version that you couldn't have that.
Exactly.
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
My mistake there. Yeah. Well, hey, an improvement either way. I think Windows 8 has been, well, not that good either. Pretty slow on that as well.
Well, the fact that you are limited to mostly just Metro apps on the RT tablet, being able to possibly load Ubuntu is a huge improvement in my mind.
And especially with the touch release of Ubuntu coming along, well, we'll see the start of it in 13.10, and well, definitely the end of it in 14.04. And I'm seeing some of the touch apps for Ubuntu sort of coming out now, but I've not had a chance to play with any yet.
So, Spatry, the highlight of the Windows 8 tablet is Ubuntu? Well, I mean, that's what I'm hearing, unless I've been listening.
Well, this is true. So yeah, if you have not the RT tablet, but now I already closed the the browser tab so that we could move on to the next things. But yeah, that is the hold on a second.
Well, let's be clear. I think Spatry and I can agree that there's nothing wrong with Windows 8 on a tablet, correct?
I can agree with that. And even Matthew stated in last night's Linux Bandit show that Windows 8 is fine for tablets.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. On a desktop, it does make absolutely no sense at all if you don't have a touchscreen, but in a tablet environment, it really does shine.
All right, now on to the best of discussions that we've had on the news and nonsense report.
The sinner report, and you can guess who's the sinner and who's the saint. Spatry, say your prayers.
Well, I might as well, because this one has to do with some prayers anyway, and that you actually censored this out of the news and nonsense report. But in all fairness, I won't describe what I suggested for Fedora's Beefy Miracle. Remember that conversation?
And they had the thing of the hot dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. Why a hot dog of all things? And then I suggested what they probably should have had, and it got censored.
Right.
If you guys want to find out what that was, just let me know, and I'll post it somewhere.
Let me just briefly say that for the listeners here, the Sunday night news and not the Center report didn't start off like that, right, Spatch? It started off as a Toss Today Tech Brief, a TTTB, for which that you can take pills for. No, but I thought it was going to be a weekly show on Total Tech News when me and Spatry, something that would be orderly, logical, cohesive. But then I thought logical and cohesive, but there was one problem, Spatry.
But you'll also remember before we even met, I had already started doing some little news snippets with some really terrible looking chroma key, and I called that news and nonsense. And the thing is, Total OS Today and we have that kind of chemistry that we just, we just start.
Well, and we started doing the Sunday night, hence the Center report, and that's how it started. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, we've had Infinitely Galactic joining us late one time and calling us rednecks, and
Well, my son's here listening, and he wants me to elaborate on one of the most famous, probably the most funny nonsense report. You remember, Spatry, the one about the extinction of the dinosaurs?
Yes, I remember the essence of putrescence discussion that we had. You were farting up our conversations with these dinosaur things.
What a crappy story. Hoo, hoo, hoo. For our listeners here, this was out of a scientific journal. Apparently, the new theory that the dinosaurs that passed away, 65 million years ago, was not caused by a meteor, by a big rock from space. Apparently, the dinosaurs had a problem with methane. They farted themselves to death. So, I mean, where do you go with? Of course, we were cracking jokes. You were like, "Where did you get this story?" I'm like, "Look it up." And he's like, "Well, I can understand, the gas and the methane and the ozone, but farting? Oh, come on." That was Patchy's response.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then we talked about, if the military wanted a secret weapon to, say, invade China, they could just send all the soldiers there with cans of beans and, kill all the inhabitants. But anyway.
Well, that would be a lot of beans.
Yes, it would be.
Maybe they should bring the dog from the Bush's Best commercial.
Let's just move on to the next one, okay? Enough of this.
Stable versus horse stable drivers. Tell us, how was your last experience with ATI?
Spatry kissed my kernels, but last year I had the latest version of Ubuntu, and of course the little pop-up, hey, you can install new and tested video drivers for your ATI card. Oh, they've been tested. Well, to make a long story short, they didn't work the first time. They didn't work the second time. I reinstalled my system the third time, and it worked fine without them. Now, to be fair, I'm not blaming any specific developer, whoever is in charge of this, but I'm sorry, I was an English major, and if something says these have been tested, oh yeah, they've been tested to fail, thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said at the time. I stated that, sure, they were tested, and they didn't work for them either.
Exactly, right. But I heard they've been getting better, and they have. The latest one I tested for Ubuntu 12.04, everything worked. I downloaded a game from Steam. Steam is easy, by the way, for newbies. I got a freebie game working. It didn't crash. It ran quite smoothly. Then I went to shut down my computer, and my computer froze.
It couldn't happen to a better person.
Spatch, I have a little bit of retro news before you go to the next one. You might like this. And I have I just got these out of the blue, but let me drop the first one, see what you guys think. This is from news back in the late 90s, okay, when the internet was young.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
Drug sniffing dog dies of overdose. A drug
Now, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Well, this is from '97, I think. A drug sniffing police dog died after biting into a bag of methamphetamine. The German Shepherd was going through a training exercise when he stuck his head into an unlocked drawer that contained the drug. Well, I guess that's where dogs and drugs don't mix, but yeah. What's the next one?
All right. Speaking of ATI drivers, wouldn't that be something if Linus Torvalds gave ATI the finger like he did to NVIDIA?
That, when I saw that, I had to replay it back. Did I just see what I thought I saw? I have to admit, I mean, that says it all. There's no explanation, no translation needed. It's classic.
Yeah, I actually watched the whole video with great interest too. But that was definitely a highlight there, and that made news all over.
Yes, it sure did. He was pretty miffed. He wasn't holding anything back. But there you go.
Yeah, and I mean people that aren't even astute as far as technology news are concerned, they all heard about it, So I mean that made big headlines, and then of course that got NVIDIA in shape, and it is my understanding they're putting out some pretty decent drivers for the Linux community, so that's always a plus.
From what I understand, especially lately, if you have NVIDIA cards, the latest drivers for Linux, you probably shouldn't have any issues, or much less, the amount of issues as you would with ATI. So maybe, Linus say, hey, get your act together. I'll be showing you more of my hands. But yeah.
And here's another one we discussed. The Japanese invented a speech jamming gun, and it's really funny because after...
Just for you.
Thank you. Because I think a few months afterwards, I think I saw a video on YouTube where somebody else was demonstrating a noise-canceling gun that you could point at somebody and, they'd be able to speak, but nobody'd hear them or something like that.
Yeah, it disrupted the sound waves or created some kind of echo, which disrupted your way of thinking. But, just talking about this is really ironic, talking about speech jamming and you, Spatry. It doesn't work on you, does it? Like in your case, they would test it on you and the thing would just break, but yeah.
I love you too, Total OS today.
Yes, dear. What else you got?
How about some new nonsense? We all know that you're not too far from Cleveland, so you probably heard this on your local news. But it appears that there was a kindergarten graduation brawl that broke out. And this happened yesterday. A brawl that started over spilled punch at a kindergarten graduation ceremony Friday resulted in the arrest of 8 people, authorities said. Police were called when one participant pulled out a pipe and another pulled out a hammer. 2 teenage girls apparently started hitting each other at Michael R. White Elementary School, and their families joined in, Cleveland Police Commander Wayne Drummond said. The fight involved adults and minors. And a quote from the officer, "You had adults fighting adults, juvies fighting juvies, and so forth." He said his parents streamed into the building to pick up their children. You just had a melee there. Now, no one was hurt, Drummond said, but it wasn't clear whether the hammer and pipe were brought to the school or were grabbed during the fight from a janitor's supplies or elsewhere, police spokeswoman Detective Jennifer Siaka said. No charges were immediately filed, but those arrested were being blocked for aggravated rioting, Drummond said. By city practice, charges are filed after prosecutors review a case. True story there, folks.
This is so bizarre. When you first came out, we're saying that story. My son was laughing and clapping his hands. But of course.
Nothing like a food fight in the cafeteria, huh?
Boy, this sounds like an episode of the World Wrestling Saturday Night Fights or something, right?
I'm telling you. Now, Matthew's got some nonsense for us, too. True story. Take it away.
Now, I know many of you have probably been using a Microsoft product at some point and thought to yourself, man, these guys must be smoking something. And, well, it turns out that a former Microsoft executive plans to create the first national marijuana brand. With cannabis, he hopes to eventually import legally from Mexico. And he says kicking off his business would be his goal by acquiring all the medical pot dispensaries in the U.S. and becoming a national brand, much like Starbucks. Shively acknowledges that his business plans conflict with U.S. federal law. And he says, if they want to come and talk to me, I'll be delighted to meet with them and show them all of my books. Now, in my own personal thoughts, really, can anyone other than a Microsoft executive actually think something like this would work?
Microsoft's Windows 8 requirements are 6,000 gigs of RAM and weed.
That is
What?
20 pounds of blonde Lebanese hash.
Well, maybe this is how they plan to entice people to use their Microsoft products in their little shops. You know, people go down to Starbucks and get online with their computers. Well, hey, I guess this might be the next requirement.
Hey, this is some good stuff. Try this out.
I thought I saw a weed app in the App Store for Windows. Didn't I, Spatry? Oh, never mind. Let's see. How about a couple more retro nonsense, Spatry?
Take it away.
Let's see. What do I have here? Oh, this is one that we actually covered on that we should cover on the best stuff. But let me give you a hint here. This is from the Boston Globe from '97. Spatry, did you know that back then there was a territorial dispute on Mars?
No.
Apparently back then, 3 men claiming ownership of Mars filed a lawsuit against NASA for landing on the planet. I believe NASA successfully landed 2 vehicles back then, or one orbiting and one landing. I forget the names. Forgive me, NASA. But they filed a lawsuit claiming in their documents that they can prove their claim because they inherited the planet from their ancestors 3,000 years ago. Of course, with the real estate taxes on Mars, the taxes are of course astronomical. But that's true. Armageddon, no, it's not Viking 1 and 2. It was called something else. I can't remember what those ships were called. But that was in 76. Yeah, Viking 1 and 2.
Well, then I'll take ownership of Venus.
Venus, if you will. Isn't that a song? Yeah, anyway. But that's true.
Don't quit your day job.
Yes. 18-ton bridge stolen in Poland. This is also back in the 90s. Yes, 18-ton bridge stolen in Now, this is not a Polish joke. Well, I guess it is a Polish joke. But apparently, an owner was driving to his cottage last week, and he couldn't get to the cottage because someone stole the 18-ton steel bridge. That was the only way to get in. The 19th century bridge was apparently cut into pieces with a welding torch and hauled away.
Now, where would they
bridge
put
over
something
troubled
like
water.
That's a song, too. Like a bridge over troubled water.
Oh, the Polish waters. Yes. This is all true. I have
Where
one
do
more
you
retro.
find these stories?
I have no idea. Sometimes I wonder if I'm normal. Anyway, one more retro that we can go into the more best stuff. We got a few minutes left. Okay, Spatry. A jilted Indonesian woman released 6 cobras in a crowded karaoke bar in central Jakarta to teach her former boyfriend a lesson. Well, I'm sure once he saw those cobras, he started singing.
You know, I have
That's my last one, yeah.
I have a true story that I can, that's related to this.
Yeah.
And this happened in my hometown in Fort Pierce, Florida. And you remember the movie Arachnophobia?
Yes.
Okay. Well, somebody emptied out a shoebox full of tarantulas into the theater during the first showing.
What?
Absolutely. It caused quite a stir. It made front page news.
Oh man, that's just wrong. Hey, I just thought of a sequel to the movie 300. Did you see the movie 300 about the Spartans?
Oh, absolutely. Sparta!
Well, but they should make a sequel called Farta, like about the 300 Fartans. We are Fartans. Okay, well, that's all I have.
That was another crappy subject.
I knew you were going to say that.
What else you got?
Well, let's see. Yeah, did we talk about something on the best of about going to Mars and back? And then we were saying that taking your trip to Mars, like if you get a flat tire in space, you can't just pull into a gas station. You know what I mean? But someone was trying to make it viable and like affordable. I think it was. I can't remember exactly, but if you had like $500,000, you can sometime in the future go on a trip to Mars. But now someone is trying to take volunteers on a one-way trip to Mars to explore the planet.
Why would anybody want a one-way trip?
To boldly go where no man has gone before, right?
And let me guess, they're going to have banana keyboards on the spaceship.
You remember that, yes.
and a
Yes.
toilet that they can power with their Bluetooth phone.
Yes. Marcus wants to talk about wigs. Sure, Marcus, go ahead.
Kenny's apparently issued a challenge to everyone that he wants all you guys to do a show in a wig. There you go. I don't think you show yourself on TOS today, do you? Do you, TOS? On a webcam? But anyway, he's issued a challenge to all the YouTubers, includes you, Spatry, that you need to do a show in a wig.
No, that challenge was issued this morning, actually, during a Google Hangout, where Caddy, or Linux for You and Me, wants all of the major YouTube Linux show hosts to do an episode in drag, and he thinks I'm the only person that has the gonads to do it. Well, let me tell you what, folks, I don't look good in a dress.
My
Now,
wife
where-
already told me that I could use one of hers.
Yes. Where is my speech jamming device? It's here somewhere. Darn it.
It's Kenny's fault. I'm just a messenger.
Well, on that note, Total West today, I don't have anything else, do you?
Well, honestly, with this kind of stuff and nonsense, this could really go on for hours, but that's probably for another day. So really right now, I would like to thank all the guests who appeared on the show. And right now I'm looking at Armageddon, Marcus, Matthew, PDQ, Quids, Rat, Rob Graves, of course, Battery, and someone called Stripe. And of course, myself, Total OS today. Quids, I'm glad I'm not public enemy number one right now.
No, I've taken that spot, haven't I?
Well, I'm kind of on his side, to be honest with you, because I've kind of had similar experiences.
I'm on the fence, actually, with the Mint 15. I like the mate version, but the cinnamon one's all over the place.
But that's the beauty of Linux. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. While I thought Linux Mint Mate was really nice, and I've already looked at Cinnamon 1.8. While I thought it was okay, it brought new features to the table. Some of the configurations didn't quite work, and I noticed that it crashed a number of times. But the Mate edition does look well polished. It looks nice. I ran it in virtual machine, did not have any issues with it whatsoever. But I mean, if Quidsup, ran this on actual hardware and it flipped him the love finger, well, it is what it is, But that's the thing about Linux. If you don't like a piece of software, you either fork it or move on to something else.
You have choices, so I'm still running. What is it? Is it number 13? That's the LTS. I'm sticking with that.
Yeah. So at any rate, Quidsup, I'm behind you on this one. I'm not going to say to heck with you because you don't know what you're talking about with your review and that sort of thing. If you experience it, I mean, you call it as you see it. I didn't experience any issues and that sort of thing, and people rely on us for information. So what I'm going to say about something may not necessarily be the same as what somebody else is going to say about it. But,
I'd have to agree. I mean, we stand behind our quids. Sorry. No, Quids, we're with you on this. You call it as you see it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, no matter what they say.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Well, yeah, I still say Mint 13 was the best one. Or the better one, anyway.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I'd have to agree too. Mint 13 is solid. It's polished and great as a long-term release, and I even suggested that in my own video. I mean, this is what's driving me nuts. How come we now have a 6-month release cycle on these distributions? I mean, that is ridiculous.
Well, it's actually, 9 months now? It used to be 18th for the updates and 6 months for the, yeah, but I really don't know.
Yeah, you got a new release every 6 months, and so after 9 months, you no longer get support to it, so you're kind of forced to upgrade, and, well, it depends on, what you're using your computer for, but the thing is, you get the thing set up how you want, and then boom, all of a sudden you got a new version to download.
It's for people who like to tinker. Isn't that what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, I guess you're probably right there,
One issue that I have with the scheduled release cycles is sometimes you have bugs in software and the developers are going to rush to get the software out by that date, and you end up releasing broken software. So I think without a set schedule, maybe that wouldn't happen as much.
Armageddon says it's for masochists. Tell us about it.
Oh, is that a new release?
No, but I mean, if you have to reinstall your system every 6 months, come on.
Debian.
Yeah. I think we should all have our regular tried and true machine, Windows 7, and just have Linux for tinkering. How does that sound, Spatry?
Well, you can have Windows 7 as your tried and true machine.
Oops.
I'm gonna actually once I've got a queue here for shows lined up, but once I've got my queue cleared out, I am really tempted to just go ahead and take the plunge, because I've been playing with Manjaro Linux now for the past few days, the May Snapshot. I'm absolutely loving it. It looks great in VirtualBox. And
It's very fast.
Oh, it's very fast, and it is sweet, and they've got their own repositories. You can access the AUR with it and that sort of thing. And, I really miss the rolling release model because, but the thing is, really, I still need to hold on to this in VirtualBox and just make sure that everything is going to run stable and not have any issues before I take the plunge and install my machine. But, part of me doesn't want me to install it, and another part of me does want to install it because I really like what it brings to the table. I can't sing them enough praises for, all the efforts they're putting into this. They're actually making an Arch-based system. And I said it wrong in the video, not be so much beginner-friendly as it is user-friendly.
Spatry, before we close the show out, you haven't talked about fishing with dynamite. Are you okay?
Oh, God, I forgot all about that. Yeah, that's how we used to start up the show. That's right, we're fishing with dynamite on Total OS today in Spatry.
That joke where that started out, guys, back when I was a kid, my friends would want to go fishing. Now, being a New Yorker, I don't always have a lot of patience for waiting for my dinner, right? So we would wait, and I would say as a joke, this is not, you guys don't know how to fish with your fishing poles because it's possible to spend all day fishing and catch zero, right, Spatry? Right.
Absolutely.
So I said, no. Yeah, so I was like, no, this is how you do it. Just throw in a couple sticks of dynamite, watch the fish jump, and you can have all the dinner you want.
Yeah, and so we, for the first few shows that we did, we always figure out a way to incorporate that into the show. How could I forget that? And the thing is, it's on the list right in front of me.
Duh. That's right. Anyway, on that note, Spatchy, that's all I have.
All right, and may your next excursion with fishing with dynamite, I just hope you don't blow your fingers off your hand or whatnot, because when you do like the dynamite, you do need to throw it. Don't hold on to it.
Well, I got a call. I got a call from the EPA, the land, the resort. They were really mad of all those fishing boats that were sunk, so I have to stop doing it. But anyway.
Dummy, that's because you were using depth charges.
Oh, crap. I forgot about that.
Let's go fishing with nuclear weapons.
Shh, it's a secret. Shh.
Yeah, take out 50 square miles.
Yes, you want your fish barbecue? No problem.
Exactly.
Patrick, take us out.
Actually, it's vaporized. You already took us out 10 minutes ago.
Oh, see how much fun this is, right? I know there's somebody on this panel is dying to say something else, right?
Are you guys still going? I drifted off like about half an hour ago. Oh, sorry, carry on.
All right. Once again, thank you, all of you, for making the News and Nonsense shows so great. Thank you, Armageddon, Marcus Baird, Matthew Moore, PDQ, Quids, Rat, Rob Graves, Stripe, Total West Today, and myself. Total West Today, you want to do this same time, same channel next week?
That is a possibility, Spatry. I will let you know.
All right. Well, if Total West Today isn't going to be here, I'm not going to be here either.